Yes, I'm here. But I can't do any of those other movements because Mark says it's gay. And I'm definitely not gay. So that's it. I don't know what you're laughing at, okay? And I mean, I thought that was okay going, yeah. But obviously it's not, okay? So it's not. So I'm not doing it anymore.
Saying nothing.
I'm doing nothing like that anymore. Okay, let's bring this guy in, the great stats man. Okay, Mark, we've got a really serious subject that we're going to be doing and sending out and recording. Now, okay, it's about what went on in the House of Commons the other day, where MPs voted from 379 to 137 in favor of an amendment to the Crime and Policing Bill that decriminalizes abortion for women who end their own pregnancies, removing criminal penalties under the 1861 Offences Against the Person Act in England and Wales. And this amendment was brought in by Labour MP Tonya Antoniazzi. Okay, that's a great British name, isn't it? Okay.
Easy for you to say.
I know. I have to tell you, I mean, if you've seen a picture of her, I don't even know whether any kid would admit to her being a mother. I have to tell you, I mean, this woman is definitely, if she was in the ugly stakes, okay, in the, the tables of ugly, she'd be Premier Division, I'm telling you, okay? Jesus Christ. I mean, she wants to have a go at me over that. I don't give a shit, but anyway. So, Mark, okay, set the scene.
It's not my specialist subject. I've got a few notes on this, but I think my position may have shifted on this over the years. Just when I'm just looking at the effects abortion actually has. I mean, when you look at the fertility rate, I believe it's probably had a massive contribution to lowering them, to be honest. If you look at it, we were around, I don't know if you got the graph, we were around 3.
Yeah, I can bring that up for
weren't
you.
we on the fertility rate pre-abortion? And then down it goes. And now we're at a level where we literally can't sustain ourselves. But there was other factors as well. Obviously, there's social factors to it and economic factors, and there was contraception and things like that. But I believe it's had a massive, massive impact. When you look, I think we're up to about 300,000 abortions a year now.
Well, if you look at that,
what that'd add to the population, we need it really. But
you can definitely see the upward shift going up towards 1963. And then from 1963, it's obviously going right down. I mean, when you look at it at 2023, that's low. I mean,
just bear in mind as well, the population's a lot bigger now. So this graph should probably be higher. But as I say, there's quite a few factors, but I believe this is one of them. I mean, what staggers me is what's not been mentioned in all of this is the, their obsession with race and ethnicity. Because you've got whites, as they call them, slightly underrepresented.
Yeah.
Asians are proportional, but when you look at blacks, they're 4% of the population, but 7% of the abortions. And mixed race, 2.2% of the population, but 5% of the abortions. Now, normally there's outrage, isn't there? Normally this means someone's being oppressed or there's institutional racism or, white's the majority. But for some reason, when it's terminating fetuses, it's crickets. Very odd. But yeah, but we'll talk about this new law. In effect, it doesn't legalize. I think there's a bit of a misunderstanding with this. A lot of people are thinking it legalizes abortion after 24 weeks. It doesn't if done via the correct channels. But as you said earlier, it stops women from being prosecuted at any term.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, so in my opinion, it might stop some of these rare cases of wrongful arrests after miscarriage. But it will allow women to end their pregnancy without going through the proper channels, meaning not approved by a good face-to-face consultation with the doctor. Literally just ordering things over the phone, which has been the problem in some of the cases where women have been prosecuted.
In the past, socially, it was unacceptable for women to be pregnant and be single mothers. Mm-hmm. And that led to workhouses. And it also led to a lot of issues, especially with the Catholic Church in these things, where the children were actually, basically churned out for adoption. Now, I know that it's been uncovered within the Catholic Church. I also know that there were issues within the Church of England. But the Church of England and the Catholics have all come out against this amendment. Now, why would you think that would be the case?
Well, this was I think they're trying to override a Victorian law from 1861, which actually said that no one can do an abortion originally, and there was harsh punishments for it, capital punishment, life imprisonment. Obviously, that's been reined in a little bit, but I think maybe the punishments were probably a bit harsh. But I think back then there's different morals.
Yeah, but
those morals. It was more religious, as you say, and now that's kind of waned. People are just accepting this a little bit more.
Well, there were a lot of, I would say, infanticides that went on, and there were a lot of graves, especially over in Ireland. I mean, it was highlighted, where these children were just, they died. Okay.
This is the debate with this, isn't it? Some people believe in the sanctity of life from conception.
Mm-hmm.
And others have got a different view on it. I mean, there is circumstances where I do think an abortion's probably needed, but you see now they've included physical and mental health of the mother. So again, as we're finding, mental health can just open up a can of worms. And,
oh yeah.
And do some of these mothers really need the abortion? Is it more of a lifestyle choice, or is it? I don't know. My view shifted.
Well,
in
this life as we know it, they've been able for quite a while to be able to decide whether they're a man or a woman. Now, in this case, it can only be a biological woman that makes this decision.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
Okay, so it is exactly what defines the argument between, is a trans man or a trans woman, who they say they are. And when you say it's a lifestyle choice, well, in actual fact, I think you're closer to the truth. To be honest with you, I think many of the politicians are full of shit. Now, they've done this. Now, do you think that they've done this for genuine, good reasons?
I don't know, because there's been 100 or so over the last few years cases where women have been wrongfully arrested when they've had miscarriages, you see. So, okay, although it stops that, there are a handful of cases, pardon me, where women have actually been prosecuted for actually terminating the baby way after the 24 weeks.
Right.
So the problem with this is it's not going to change much, this law. It's going to probably stop some of these investigations, but some of them are going to slip through the net. So the handful that have actually done something that I think most people don't agree with, if you look at the polling data, that suggests also, then they're just going to get off with this. So my worry is, it's going to help people, a few people, but is it now going to lead to a pattern where there's going to be an increase in self-abortions? Because 61% of abortions are actually now at home. Now, this has come from the lockdowns. So people were just being able to ring up and order the tablets. And right. One of the people who was prosecuted and went to jail, and there's very few go to jail, so it's not going to change a lot of this. Well, I think she told them she was a certain number of weeks, so obviously under the 24, but she was way over it.
Right.
So there could be some mistakes made, genuine mistakes by women who don't know exactly where they're up to. But that's why I think you should really need to go and have an investigation, and then maybe the doctors can tell you. And then again, it's a bit like the gender identity thing, isn't it? It's moving away from a medical aspect, and then just going down to someone's feelings, perception, and whatever they want to do. I don't know.
Do you think
it's a tough one? This, you know what? It's like the assisted dying bill, John. I think there's circumstances where it's probably acceptable, and it really is.
So you're saying there are grey areas. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, this is the problem. Where does it stop? I mean, we've had these things come in before. We've had terrorism laws, which were for jihadis, yet now they're being used on our own population just to spy on us.
Oh, don't tell me about jihadis. I've
You've
seen
got
some of
no,
those Islamists
well,
at
we
the
won't go
moment.
off on
No,
a
we won't go
tangent.
off
But
on the tangent.
what
But,
about the
geez.
blasphemy laws as well? They were meant to stop blasphemy, and then you've had the public order, and then they're trying to use it for blasphemy. So the problem is we've got idiots making laws that don't make sense, and I don't know. Morally, were those laws from 1861 better than the idea of terminating fetuses? Maybe
Life
the
is
punishments
life.
weren't, but
Life is life. So I understand
yeah.
the point of view of the pro-life lobby. I understand that. But I also understand that there are circumstances in which, the physical disability of the fetus or the child, depending on the period of time in which you're actually talking about, can be an issue. Okay? Now, I don't think it is entirely the choice of the mother. What about the father? Tell me about that.
See, this is what I was going to say, but what about, I mean, some people can have this view. What about the rights of the actual baby? So you've got the right of the baby. What about the father? Say, for instance, you're expecting a baby with someone. Something happens, whatever, and then she decides to terminate that baby without going to a doctor somehow, when it could probably survive outside the womb. Where's the father's rights? What about people's religious rights? Like you've just said, some people believe that it's, from conception. They're not taking that into consideration. And the main one for me actually is equality under the law. So women are now free from prosecution, but the medical professionals aren't. So they're not allowed to do one thing, but women can. I think it's making a mockery of our system of law.
Would you say that it's been well thought out?
I don't think any of our laws are well thought out anymore. I think they get caught in a bandwagon with I don't know, maybe feminist ideas, and we've got to save women's rights. And it's
headliners.
These men in the old days made these laws. Yeah, they did, which were relevant for the time. But my worry is this good? Is this an attempt to go down the route of legalizing it entirely? Incrementally. You see these things, don't you? And we all think, oh no, it's fine in rare circumstances, but then it escalates.
Yeah,
I don't think there was a need for this, really. But
do you want to hear what Stella Creasy has to say about it?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yeah. Go on.
Okay.
Clip that we just heard there from Nigel Farage.
Well, I just don't think that Nigel's ever been in the room when you have your 20-week anomaly scan for a baby that you really, really want. And the doctor turns to you and says, I'm sorry, it's bad news. The reality is that 90% of abortions in this country take place before 10 weeks. So those abortions that take place at those later gestations tend to be the most tragic cases of all. The people who've got a fatal fetal abnormality. In layman terms, Natasha, that means they've been told they're going to have a child that will probably die when it is born. And they make a choice to have an abortion. And actually, one of my constituents wrote to me about this. And she said, I had that because I decided to take the pain so that my little boy didn't have to. So when I hear Nigel Farage doing that, I hear two things. One, I hear somebody who probably hasn't done much homework to understand quite why our abortion time
Can we just stop that, John? Yeah, for a second. Yeah. She says that, but what they've put through doesn't change that. If you've got a problem at 20 weeks, then that's still legal. If you've got a serious problem, two doctors by law have noted, then you can still have one after 24. Yeah. What they've put through is just, if a woman decides to after 24 and she can find a way of doing it, then she's not going to be in any trouble. So she's being disingenuous. But why has it all come around to the argument with Nigel Farage, and then Trump's going to come into it in a minute and stuff? And to me, I'm smelling an ideological aspect to this, to be honest. I'm not going to be funny, John, but why does he always look like that?
This is the woman.
Face? What's the eyes?
This is the woman who says that a woman can have a penis. And yet she's actually talking about a biological woman giving birth. I wouldn't trust a single word that comes out of this woman's mouth for anything. No. Anything whatsoever. Do you want me to carry on?
There's no mention of the women with penises.
No,
these abortions.
none
So
whatsoever.
It's funny that, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not in this conversation. No. Maybe we should enter it into the conversation and really confuse things. But anyway, carry on.
Yeah.
Abortion isn't legal in this country, but the time limit under which you can access abortion and not be prosecuted is what it is. But also I hear something more sinister, which is the debate that we've seen in America that we know is now here on our shores, which is about demanding that women justify why they want control of their bodies. Because frankly, it shouldn't be anybody's business. Those 3,000...
Now, how does that totally excludes the child? It totally excludes the man, the father.
They use this about women's bodies. Yeah, I get it in a way, but as you say, it took a bit of a man as well, and it was consensual. And if the child was wanted, it makes this even worse, does it not?
That's right.
If someone, I know it's only going to be a few cases, but some of them are going to slip through the net, and I worry, especially when it's people like this making the laws.
Yeah,
I really do.
This woman, I'm telling you now, if I was Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'd be telling her where to off, right? Because she's nuts. I don't really rate this woman at all, and I don't even know why they're actually getting her on. You know, we should ask her. Do you have a penis, Stella?
Why? I don't know. Why is there always a theme of? Why is there a slight theme of death?
Yeah.
With all the assisted dying thing, and why are they so keen on? What about saving people? You could be putting a lot of laws
doing positive
to
things,
actually save people from some of the problems politicians.
Absolutely.
Country, but I don't know. It's a bit strange. I just don't trust her.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust her. Well, I wouldn't trust any of her people at all.
And late abortions that happen every single year on nobody else's business. They're often in an incredibly tragic position. So when Nigel Farage does this, he's not really talking about those families. He's not really spoken to them. What he's doing is sending a bat signal to the Trumpian playbook from America about women.
This is why I don't watch mainstream. The only time I do is when they're on here. They're not having the debate. They're not looking at. We've just gone through
they're just knocking the other side,
and the facts and the data. They're just having an ideological.
They're just knocking the other
with
side
with Trumpian stuff, and no talk about exactly what problems will arise from this and what problems it's trying to fix.
Yeah,
not be disingenuous and say something about feelings and but what about when you go for your 20-week scan? That's not the aim of this. No. She just looks like she's being disingenuous. Why is her head tilted to the side? Why has she got weird eyes going on? She looks like she's being patronising. I don't. I'm getting bad vibes off her, Johnny.
Bad vibes. I'll carry on.
Bodies as a part of the cultural wars and the battlefield that they are.
Cultural wars.
It is our right to...
She mentions cultural wars. Hey, shove it. Shove it where John, the sun doesn't shine.
We went through a lot of the data and stuff. We've not mentioned this. This shouldn't be a cultural wars thing. We should be looking at
these people that are coming into this country from different cultures are being let off with rape because they didn't realize that in the West we don't go out and rape people. Okay,
you've raised a good point. So one of the people who was prosecuted, I noticed, was actually a refugee. Now she was obviously not sent to jail and stuff like that because of her mental health, because she was a refugee. So she's terminated a baby after 24 weeks, but because she's a refugee, that gave her some kind of mental health. Did you see the kind of worms this could open?
Yeah,
although
absolutely, absolutely,
it might help some women to not be prosecuted for things that didn't happen, like miscarriages, when they didn't abort the baby, but it's going to let some slip through the net. And do we want that?
No.
Because as you say, we might have people now, well, we have got people now, haven't we, coming from cultures that really don't align with ours. And is it acceptable to be doing this in their countries? Because if it is, this is going to open the floodgates. And then it's going to be in these gated off communities we don't really see, and then no one's going to go in there and fix this.
No.
So is this going to escalate like other things? We've been talking about? Yeah, it's worrying. It's a tough one, though, isn't it? Well, because they put forward a good argument all the time, don't they, as to why? But then when you actually look into it, you're thinking, there's more to this than just it's women's rights.
Anybody voting for this woman is a nut, an absolute nut.
what control they might have as to what happens to them, and be damned to the consequences, because it's a cruel, unusual form of torture to ask somebody to carry to term a baby they know is going to die.
And
so that's a cop out.
No one's asking that though, John. After
No,
24
that's right.
weeks, if 2 doctors know that that baby is not going to survive, then she can have an abortion.
Correct.
The more I listen to her, the more I worry. It's got an
Let's see
agenda
what
to
this
it, to be
woman
honest.
on LBC has to say about that. Her comment on that after that.
a lot of people will be surprised to hear you say that abortion is not legal in this country and that there are calls to decriminalise it, because I think the common perception is that it is legal. So can you explain to us why it's not?
Yeah, we need to be very explicit about this. What the law says is that you are exempted from prosecution if you follow certain conditions of access.
She's just said it.
Now,
There
that
you
might
go.
Yeah.
There you go. So she's just contradicted everything she's just said.
Correct.
With those funny eyes and the weird look. What? Oh,
Tilted head,
vibes.
weird look.
Bad vibes. Real bad.
like quite technical, but actually what we've seen over the last couple of years is a massive rise in investigations and prosecutions under the old 19th century law that made having an abortion a criminal.
Under the old 19th century. Hey, lady,
no, it didn't.
the Magna Carta is still in operation now.
No, it didn't. No, it really didn't.
Am I overreacting at that?
No, it didn't. It was that in the 1967 law, you still can't have one after 24 weeks. This is criminalising the women who were doing it after that somehow by, for instance, lying or finding another way of doing it. So I don't think she knows what she's talking. Unless I've got this totally wrong, but I mean, I've been looking into this for a week or so.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense. She doesn't
Offence,
make
and
sense.
indeed helping somebody to have an abortion a criminal offence in of itself. So this isn't a theoretical matter. We've seen very young
That's still
women
a
who didn't
criminal
realise they were
offence.
pregnant.
Correct.
For the medical professionals, but just not for the women.
Yeah. Good point.
So again, it's totally, it goes against the way our law is meant to work.
Having late-term miscarriages, finding not a counsellor at their hospital bed, but a police officer. We've seen women go to court. We've seen some women being jailed. But we've also seen an
But that's because they've
She
done something wrong.
They've
according
done
to the
something
law.
wrong. Yeah.
So again, here we go. Our women have broke the law, so we need to change the law. But it's never the same for men, is it?
No.
I'm worried.
Except
about
for the
this, to be honest.
Somalians who are coming over here, and they are, right, percentage-wise, the biggest sexual offenders going.
To be honest, there's much left on this because she's literally not making much sense here.
No, there's not. I'll give it a little bit more.
Go on then.
call for restrictions on access. So 250,000 abortions take place on average in this country every year. None of them are legal.
It's up to
The women who
300,000.
have them are exempted from prosecution. But the fact that that law remains means that their access to it is always
But
on
they are
much
legal.
shakier foundation.
Yeah, they are.
They are legal because it overrides that bit of that law. Obviously, otherwise, what's the point of putting it through?
Yeah.
She's making out like all of these hundreds of people go to court. No, it's a handful of the people who are actually convicted. So therefore, someone's looking into the cases and saying, "Okay, you've had a miscarriage. It looks a bit suspicious. No, okay, you're fine. Well, hang on. No, is this over the 24 weeks?
Yeah.
Right now, was it a mistake or was it done on purpose?"
Yeah.
Some
Good point.
slip
Good
in
point.
there, aren't they?
Than people might realise. So when those people want to attack abortion rights, it's much easier for them to do so than people might realise.
So my understanding is that you now consider it that it's urgent that we decriminalise abortion because America has sneezed and we're about to catch a cold
there you go.
with regard to this issue.
Decriminalise abortion. Like I said, is this the road to the whole thing?
Yeah.
Because it sounds like that's what she's talking about.
Yeah.
Not what they've actually done with this.
Yeah.
Let me be very clear. Decrim is not enough, but I do think we should repeal that outdated legislation. I do not wish to mess with the time limits. I think the way in which we provide abortion
There you go.
should be a matter of medical, not criminal regulation. But decrim is not enough to stop the attacks.
But then who
we are seeing.
enforces
It's
the
not just
medical
Nigel
regulation? You've got it.
Farage.
Oh,
People will
for
have
God's
heard
sake.
the American Vice President.
So if someone does something unethical medically now, you're just going to get rid of all the laws that punish them. Is this the road we're going to go down?
That's it.
So everything's just medical, so So, well, we saw it. COVID. Here's the vaccine, but they're all exempt.
You're all
and
exempt.
that wasn't really a thing in the past, was it? So now everyone's just going to, in the future, just all going to be exempt. We just do what we want.
Yep.
I'm going to say this woman's got a hint of evil about her.
All right. Do you know what? I have absolutely no faith in Labour, any Labour MP, anything that's going on. In fact, I've got no faith in any of the MPs. You know, I tell you what, Guy Fawkes had something. He had something about him.
She's just spelled it out for us, hasn't she?
Yeah.
It's going to be decriminalise it non-stop, and then everything's just going to be medical. There's going to be no legal aspect. You know, when someone does something wrong medically,
correct.
There's no punishment for that. No accountability again. Oh, here we
Absolutely.
go. It's the pattern again, isn't it? You see, and then nothing changes. It just gets worse.
That's
so
it.
I think we've just about summed this up, haven't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll go back to us. You know, here we go. All right. Now, the thing I want to say about this is I think that they're looking ahead, because if they start taking the figures, and especially ethnicity, over abortions, I think that you're going to start to see the full truth about what's going on over the next couple of years. Okay? Because I don't think the people coming from other cultures other than the West actually adopt any Western values. And I think you're going to start to find, like the grooming gangs, you're going to find that people from other cultures think it's okay. And they're also now being given the green light for these things to say, well, okay, you know. And people will say, oh, well, you're being quite racist and stuff like that. Shove it where the sun doesn't shine.
Not really, John. How many people have we seen in court who've, I don't know, let's say, offences against children, and they've been let off extremely lightly because of where they're from and their refugee status. So again, there's no equality, because if that was someone who was born in this country, or at least...
Well, I think that all records
straight away.
All records of ethnicity should be collected and then analysed.
Well, they always are, mate. They just pick and choose when they want to actually use them.
Well,
they're all over this with abortion. It's fine, but then when it's something to do with someone, I don't know. You know what we were talking about the other night, with the gangs. I won't go into too much detail because we've already covered that. But yeah, it all changes then, doesn't it? The Tipex comes out, and the blind eye, and we didn't see any of that stuff we normally bang on about 24/7.
Oh my God, this government, this Labour government under Keir Starmer, and these people, oh Jesus, you know, I'm just waiting for the next move from them. You know, there is going to be an uprising. It is going to be like what's going on in Iran.
I was going to say, you probably prefer to live there, mate. You probably got more free speech in Iran than you get here.
Well, you do at the moment.
You do now, yeah. Say what you want.
Indeed. Well, I think we pretty much exhausted that. I'd like to thank you for your valuable input there, Mark, and the research that you've done. And I would say, well, you know, it is actually time to move on.
Wasn't me specialist subjects, but, you know.
You did a great job, sir. A great job.
We've done our best, I suppose.
Indeed.
If that's not good enough, then I don't know what is.
There you go.